Hi, everyone. I am Carolina. I lead Snap's AR business strategy, and I am so excited for this session. We have brought together some of the industry's leaders who have really built incredible businesses in AR, and hopefully we can use this session to steal some of their strategies, advice, and tips for so many of you who are thinking about building your own careers in AR. So let's dive right in, probably best with introductions. Let's start with my fangirl moment, Paige. Would love for you to introduce yourself, your name, your job, and a bit about your business in AR.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm Paige, and I'm an augmented reality makeup and character artist. I've been creating social AR effects for the past 3 years, and I think I've built at this point maybe 300 effects across platforms. I create a lot of effects to try out different character looks, makeup looks, and I've really just kind of like been focusing for the last few years on just trying to connect with an audience that way by creating effects that I love that I feel like other people can use to tell their stories with.
That's awesome, and such a unique perspective as you're building your own business and brand. Jason, what about you?
I'm Jason Yim. I'm the CEO and founder of Trigger XR. So we're the world's most experienced XR agency, 275,000 plus hours now. And our first AR project was in 2009, so webcam based.
Yes.
So we've been here for a while, but we deliver content for brands and agencies across sports, entertainment, and commerce.
And how many people now do you have working?
We're just over 60 full-time people.
That's great. Wow. Congratulations. From 2009 to now, that webcam. I like how you've really evolved since then. Times have changed. Germán, what about you?
I'm a CEO and founder of 3DAR. It's a company in Buenos Aires that we do virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented, all kinds of realities, and, and a lot of animation. Started in 2004, so it's been changing a lot. I'm director, producer, and I'm running the company. Very happy now where everything is going with these new technologies, and excited to talk about it.
Yes, me too. And Ben, please.
Yeah, I'm Ben Knutson. I am the founder of KAR Graphics, and I've been making lenses since about Lens Studio came out in December of 2017. I started as an individual creator and then slowly kind of built up my portfolio and then started my company.
That's great. Well, as you can see, a lot of different perspectives here on the panel today. So I thought it would be really great to start by talking about how each of you got into AR. I assume as young children, you weren't thinking, my dream is to be an AR developer and have a business in AR, although maybe that was the case. I know that talking to some of you, you've had different paths to get into AR, whether you started in animation and VR and then bridging into AR. I thought it'd be really great to talk about when you actually got into AR and why you decided to start to build an AR. Jason, do you want to kick things off?
Yeah, sure. Like I mentioned, our first AR project was in 2009. It was for Sony for District 9, and it was webcam-based AR, so you actually had to print out a piece of paper, hold it in front of your webcam to actually see the AR, like the mothership or the alien on top of it. But for us, back then we were doing a lot of Flash games. We had a team that did 3D graphics, and we had game programmers. But the studios, we did a lot of film marketing. They were always trying to innovate because every weekend there's like a brand new movie coming out. So AR just became one piece of technology that we were going to investigate and try to use on the next film. But we fell in love with it from that first project. It felt like the future. It felt like it was finally something that wasn't just stuck on the 2D screen behind. It was actually in our world. So we just went from that point on.
Immersive, interactive. You started more in like the gaming space and then sort of pivoted more into AR and that stuff.
And it overlaps so well with entertainment, right? Like all the characters and all the stories.
Yeah. What about you, Paige?
So I've worked in influencer marketing and digital media for about 10 years. And on the side, I just enjoyed character illustration and compositing, taking photos and turning them into fantasy-like artwork. So I had always kind of loved that stuff and just did it for a passion. And then when I realized I can create filters online, I just downloaded the software and started doing the things I would do in Photoshop to transform a photo, but do it in AR so that it could be something I could wear at any time, share with friends, see on them and stuff, try out different makeup looks, create different characters from movies that I loved. And so it became just like a big passion where I just started creating effects as a social AR creator. Over the first year, I started to generate a lot of buzz around my effects and a lot of followers. And at this point, I think I'm somewhere around 200 billion impressions on my effects across social platforms. And I now work with brands and I create characters for them. I bring music video characters to life. So I've always had a passion for creating character looks, even when it comes to video games, and just customizing my character. That was always my favorite thing. So now I kind of just do that in AR and I customize our characters that way.
Paige, I think that's really cool because your path is a bit different, right? Which is you started with this personal passion that you had and you saw this new medium as this way to finally express that in a opportunity that really didn't exist before, that you can put your imagination into people's hands for them to create with versus just consume. And that's such a different opportunity for creators to go from creating something people see or something people view into something that people are a part of. It's a really exciting and creative kind of aspect of the job.
Absolutely.
I remember myself playing with mirrors and drawing over mirrors and reflecting light on those mirrors and projecting things and kind of like playing with augmented reality in that very basic sort of technology. So I was always like, since I was 3 or 4, passionate about like bringing imagination to life into supernatural ways, like this kind of power that technology gives you to really defy physics and just come up with the most random thing and make it happen. So I think I was always passionate about that for sure. And we started the company early, so there was no VR or AR or nothing. But like over the years, like as the technology opened, we started playing with that, and just as a medium to come up with what we really like the most, which is character stories, like different worlds or feelings or scenes. So I think for us it's an opportunity, and I think we're just like in the middle of something that is going to be much bigger than what it actually is today.
What about you, Ben?
I actually kind of stumbled into it. Back in 2018, I was working at an IT job and finishing up my IT degree, and I just kind of discovered Lens Studio, and I was looking for an outlet to learn more about coding, and I figured out that this was the perfect platform to do that. So I utilized Lens Studio to kind of start learning how to code and how to, make these interactive experiences, and I just fell in love with it, and it kind of blew my mind because I thought it was the future of communication.
I mean, that's so awesome and inspiring. I think for someone who works at Snap to hear, it was really interesting actually when we first launched Lens Studio in 2017. A few months before, we obviously had our prototype version before we broadly launched, and we did a small and confidential kind of launch, soft launch. We actually got a group of high school students together. It was actually all 15 and 16-year-old girls from the Los Angeles area. We got them together and we actually previewed Lens Studio to them. These women were really into art and illustration, but they were not AR or 3D experts at all. And we introduced to them Lens Studio, the first version, and the AR lenses they built in that short session was just the light bulb that I think so many people at Snap were so excited about. Taking young, just creative people and giving them a new tool to create with, and just seeing how almost intuitive it felt for them. And they kind of also got inspired for what else might they be able to do. So it's just so great that that was sort of part of your story as well. It's really cool to understand and think about, all of you are leaders already in AR and growing your own businesses here, but thinking about that you're very much kind of bleeding edge and some of the first people who are really investing in the medium, thinking about what's going to happen over the next 10, 20 years with how many people who are maybe in elementary school today or high school today who now have so many more tools within the space at their fingertips that we didn't have before. I think it's just exciting to think about what that trajectory might look like.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to understand what is it that is happening with AR today that is making it so interesting and so successful. But because in its essence is this possibility, like when you have a face filter, to look like someone else or to look like a creature or like to have this power to play is a very like pure and simple concept. It's just like to be kind of like a little god, maybe on your face for a little bit. And then as technology evolves, you're gonna be having much more superpowers to play around with other elements around you and outside the cell phone screen even.
I think the use case is also going to just grow so much more than just play. Like, I feel like right now, if you look at phones, right, like we are at that stage where we have a flip phone and you can call people, you can message, and maybe take really bad photos. Like that's the state of AR right now, versus where it's gonna be is you have a smartphone, you're on it all day, and it does everything for you. And I think that's where AR is gonna go. So
That daily utility.
yeah.
I mean, I assume in your day-to-day, professional lives, you're actually seeing some of that shifting in the use cases that perhaps you're building for. And so actually, do you have any insights to share to other developers of what are the use cases that you've seen even over the past year start to really grow in how many times people are requesting it, if it's maybe a client, or even just experiences that you yourselves are really interested in building because you're seeing your audience is engaging with it more so than perhaps they used to. Would love to hear or share kind of your insight on those use case evolution.
Well, I've seen specifically for physical products, there are a lot of try-on experiences. And with the combination of the shopping template where you can actually link products directly from the lens, combining that with the world mesh, people can now place objects in their rooms and basically test out to see how it'll look in their room, or they can try on makeup or anything like this. So there's so many different ways for companies to kind of bring in and allow people to kind of play around with these things and then also shop for them and kind of try on and see what works for them.
I've actually had that experience as well with clients when we're creating makeup filters and stuff like that for beauty brands. We're taking that experience where you would have walked into a store and you'd see that their campaign for their new makeup collection, you'd see it done so well on a model, and maybe you'd wonder, can I do this myself? Should I have somebody do this for me? Well, it's an experience you can have now where you can go and try on that whole look. And so what we're doing with brands is we're taking their campaign look that they're doing on their collection and we're creating that as a filter so you get to try it on. And it might inspire you to go buy that product or check it out at least, because maybe that color is something you didn't think of trying before, or that lip shade or something might be cool to try out. So we're working on trying to create very realistic and exciting makeup experiences. And the same for characters in movies. When you watch a movie, you might see a character and say, wow, I really want to see what I could look like if I was dressed up as that character. And now you can go and try out something like that. And so those are the type of things I think brands that I've worked with are really excited about, is creating those experiences that people want to try on and then consider maybe to go buy, or try out a character and then send it to their friends and their family and see how would you look as that character too. And so it becomes like a fun, sharing, collaborative experience for us and the brand.
Each time we move into a new industry, it's like a whole new set of use cases to focus on as well. So we do a lot on the sports side, and we pull in a lot of real-time live data from the games and stuff, and that's being presented in AR, so it's kind of deepening the viewership experience. We do a lot of AR portals where we're trying to bring people from outside an event into an event and feel like kind of some presence of actually being there. And then even taking AR all the way up to kind of like training level for some of these top leagues and top players, where using that as a tool to improve their actual performance on the field.
Yeah, totally. I see like maybe these categories of like training and professional training as a very strong one. Then like problem solving in a day-to-day, like an instant translation or something, or you need to associate something like kind of like problem solving. Then you have the entertainment, which is I think the strongest in the sense that like people laughing at it and sharing, and the advertisement and inviting people to other experiences like that are outside of AR, but can take you somewhere and make you belong there, like musician that you like, and then you can kind of like group people there. And so that's the 4 quadrants that I see for AR.
I think it's really interesting because like basically all of you, when you talked about the use cases that you're seeing is really starting to emerge or take off perhaps more frequently now than it used to a few years ago, which maybe was a bit more focused on self-expression and sharing and really took hold very early on. Now we're seeing more utility and more use cases beyond that. All of the use cases though, even the entertainment ones, the sharing and self-expression ones, they sort of all still relate to a consumer problem that you're helping to solve. The more you're able to stay focused on the consumer need you're solving for, it seems like that's really where we're starting to see the growth in use cases that are successful in AR. And I think that's really good advice for developers who are thinking about getting started in their career, which is how do they think about the skills that they should practice or the types of use cases that they should prototype or kind of build experiences around, and kind of taking it back to, well, where is it in our day-to-day lives that this could actually provide utility? And then how do you start to think about that in a more kind of holistic way of not just my client is asking for this, but this is actually what people also want.
Yeah, and also this is what I want or what I am. Like your own identity, I think is the most important factors in some cases. Like some people, like they really have a strong say and they have a profile, and this is what I like. So they make the best filters because they're so invested, because that's who they are. And it's not for everybody. Like some companies, they provide like amazing services and understand the needs of the consumer. But like somebody who's starting, I think to kind of like know what you like, that's kind of like important for what I think.
I actually think that's a great thing to mention, because one of the things I wanted all of you to talk about was this idea of building your brand. How important do you think it is to actually kind of invest in staying really loyal to what you think is your core kind of business or brand? Or is it more of it happens over time, or your reputation is built over time?
I think that's a super interesting question. I get this a lot internally. Like staff might ask, okay, what's the long-term vision and what's the path that we're taking? And I think from a company's perspective, it is still so early that I feel it's more of you're not trying to draw a straight line. It is a land grab. You know, it's greenfield right now, and let's explore in as many directions as possible. Of course, you're kind of limited by funds and number of people and stuff, but there are going to be pockets that you're super interested in, but we don't need to draw a single line through that.
I completely agree with that. I think that it's, like you said, it's a land grab right now. There's so much opportunity for you to branch out wherever you want, and I think it's just you kind of evolve as AR evolves, and so you evolve with it. And I think that right now, you would almost be limiting yourself by trying to just, build your reputation in a single way when you can so easily go and do something that might not have even been done before. That's the beauty of this right now, is that it's so new that you can be the first to do something or branch off into this certain area and create your own unique style. So,
and everything kind of cross-pollinates other stuff. So you might head down and investigate one industry or one type of technology, and actually it has applications all the way across the other side on a different project entirely. So you don't know how it'll become kind of useful, but it's almost like, I feel like just experience and portfolio, like that's the currency. Just build that.
So I actually wanted to talk a little bit about how you started your kind of business, or your bet on like this, I think I'm going to turn into a professional career. Oftentimes, when we talk to different types of developers who are just getting started, they're actually just really scared to start. It's like this fear of, I don't have enough of a skill to do this as a profession, or there's so many other big companies out there that are, gonna take the work, or I don't have the network to do it. And so what's your advice for people just getting started?
On the artist side, I think definitely this is this opportunity again, where when we evaluate people, it's just purely on their work. It's just purely their portfolio. So it could be an 18-year-old, it could be someone straight out of college, it could be another country. Like, we don't care, it's just that work. And I think there are very few industries in the world that allow that kind of way to get into it, Like normally you have whatever kind of job resume or schools you went to, and you have to build that up. I feel like in AR, it's just purely the work, and you can get in. I might have a little bit of a counterpoint to what you said. I actually reacted or resonated more with what Paige said, where bringing inspiration from different things, like from art, from books, from movies that you're seeing, from music. Like, we try to find things that are unique. Obviously, we want the kind of base skill set of being technically able to do it, but I think we're always trying to look for that diamond in the rough that has a slightly different perspective from someone else and can bring something different to the table. So.
I love what you said, and it's really so true that there's a lot of people that are just starting out and might think that maybe it's too late to get into this, and like you guys have said, it's so early, it's extremely early. And also as a creator, even if there's thousands of creators, everybody has their own voice and their own style. And so I love when somebody new comes in with a fresh perspective and new ideas, because what they're doing is they're looking at the current environment and landscape, and they're seeing what you're creating, what I'm creating, what everybody's creating, the capabilities that are just out now. now? And then they come up with a brand new idea based off of that new, fresh environment. So there's something amazing about seeing what somebody does that's brand new in the space, and when they find their voice and they start putting their work out. And there's so much inspiration out there, from creators to movies to books. Like, it's endless. So there's nothing that should ever hold anybody back from joining in this space. And what'll happen is you'll learn as you start creating, you'll grow an audience. You'll also have brands will reach out to you. People that you know will start to say like, oh, this person does AR. And so I remember the first month I started, I had somebody reached out to me with an opportunity, and I was like, wow, this could really become a business for me. And so it's like, at any point, it's the time to get started.
That's great advice, and it's also helpful to share with people, like, how do you get your work discovered? Like, oftentimes if you're seeing a new potential artist that you might hire, or someone that you're inspired by, or if you're a brand and you're looking to hire someone, is it because you saw their work somewhere that went kind of viral a bit, or there was a lot of attention about it on Twitter or on Snap or on other platforms, or was it because they sent you their portfolio? What's typically the process for discovery for like a new artist? What would your recommendation be for how they get discovered?
So if you're already gone a little viral, or if you already have a strong identity and you're building on it, you're already there. For everybody who's starting, it's like really put a lot of effort in doing like a really well done thing. Doesn't matter what it is, but it's like have to have like this effort and perseverance and getting it right to the point that you see it and you say, I don't know how I could improve this. And then you go and show it to people. It's like, what do you think about this? And then you get the feedback and maybe you improve it a little bit. So it's like this dedication, I think it's a great way to start. And then, and you're gonna have more things to do or things to say through your art down the road.
Also speaking to people who, are still trying to get discovered and build that audience, is that I think it's so important that you just put stuff out there, that no matter what, you're just creating.
Totally.
And it doesn't necessarily always have to be the most high quality work, as long as you're just constantly making new things. With the lenses, whatever audience you have will react, but not only that, people that don't even know who you are or aren't even following you can react and see these, and it will just naturally build.
Our first many years, we were really bad at marketing ourselves, so we were 99% just referral-based work. And then the last few years, we've turned that a bit on its head and are pushing more on the marketing side and a lot of outreach. And I think we're seeing that kind of like improvement from there. But I think from a new developer, just if there are teams that you want to work with and other people or brands that you're impressed with, like just reach out and try to connect. There's all these ways now through LinkedIn or get people's emails, show up at conferences. Like the people that actually step up and get the work in front of you, I feel like they've already lifted themselves above everyone else because of that kind of effort. So
investing in new talent and education, I mean, that's part of building your career here, being successful, right, is continuously looking to improve, continuously pushing yourself and maybe taking courses. I know this is something that your company is really starting to kick off. I'd love for you to share with us a bit about that.
Yeah, we're excited about this new program we're doing with the Navajo Tech University. We actually, the past couple of years, we've been working with the Dene Youth Group out there. We've been funding a youth center for them, their library, their performing arts stage. But the next step for us is working with the university, where we're doing a lecture series this coming semester, which is an XR 101 series, but using Lens Studio as the basic tool that the students will come in and learn. And hopefully after this lecture series, they actually can walk away with a skill set that they can go straight into doing some freelance work or at least start building experience from there.
For people who are thinking, I do want to make this a career, you have to also commit to, investing in learning new technologies.
I started out making YouTube videos way early on when I was learning Lens Studio.
Hello everyone, my name is Ben and this is Ralphie, and I'm an official lens creator here to talk to you about Lens Studio.
A lot of people think that there's this huge barrier to entry for it, but it's actually a lot easier than a lot of people think. And that's what I was kind of trying to focus on with my YouTube videos, which actually kind of led to a little mini series on Snap AR YouTube channel called Basics with Ben, which was literally just about 5-minute videos showing you how to do some amazing things in Lens Studio without having to know anything about coding or anything about animation, you can just jump right in. And that's led to doing other workshops and full courses for, say, like Snap Lens Academy. Lots of different ways to kind of get into it, and it's really exciting to be able to help people get into that atmosphere.
So we've talked a bit about getting started, right? Like getting over this intimidation, the fear of really investing in your own thing. Now, let's say that you're really a professional, you're starting to work and you're actually working with clients. Let's have a bit of real talk. It's not always fun. There are challenges working with clients. I would love, and I'm sure everyone would love to hear your advice for how you typically manage tricky clients.
For me, I think the biggest part is education. Educating the clients, because a lot of the times these tricky clients just simply haven't worked with AR before, and they don't understand what the technology is capable of, what it isn't capable of yet, or even what the audience would want compared to what their vision is. So educating them right away and showing them this is what's possible, this is what people are reacting to now, this is what people like, could help kind of guide their vision more, so that you don't have to have that conversation halfway through the project by saying this either isn't going to work technically, or your audience probably won't like this kind of a thing. So it's better to educate them early on, and so that you kind of have this same vision going forward.
90% of the cases, like a good start for a solution. Most of the time, what happened in our cases is that we were too focused on making the best AR filter or the best product, and we were forgetting about looping the client in, getting the client into, and kind of like inviting him or her to be a part of it. The only thing the client really wants sometimes is to really be a part of the process, even more than having the best result. That's what I found. You have to make him a part of it, and then the chances of success are much bigger. That's what I would say.
I mean, first, we're starting to also build at scale and also start working on more long-term products. So I think one thing that clients really appreciate is going in there with the kind of research to back it up. So we do a lot of kind of a user-centric design at the beginning, brought on a VP of product. We're bringing in, different research type of people to at least provide the thinking at the beginning that's supported. And then as much kind of communication, like you said, with the client along the way. So full transparency, they're part of the entire iterative process. But even with all that, it's still hard. Like we still, after all these years, we still struggle with things like change orders and rounds of revision. Part of it, I feel like it's kind of the nature of the beast.
It's interesting too, because Paige, the way that you engage and work with clients sometimes is different, because you aren't just sometimes building, content for them on their behalf, right? You're building content with them, but for your audience that then, they're going to be a part of. But it's really your piece of AR experience that you're going to post to your channels versus kind of building it for them, maybe shipping it off, and then they're distributing it under their name. What are some of the challenges and ways that you've managed your clients or partners within your type of business that you've grown?
I feel like I attract the type of clients that like the type of filters that I create just for my own portfolio. So I'll get makeup brands, beauty brands, fashion brands and stuff, musicians that are looking to create something similar that they've seen in my archive of filters. So a lot of times they go into it with an idea of their own. And so we really try to get that idea out of them to find out what are they really looking to create. Like you said, it's good, or you guys both said, it's good to listen to hear what that client wants to create, because they have ideas of their own. They have visions for what this filter could look like. And then I try to just take it and just try to help them, guide them to understand what capabilities we have, what I think could be more effective for them, if maybe there's something that I think they can leave out but add something else in. So we work together to really nail that concept down. And we have very strict contracts that really cover those amounts of revisions and stuff. So we don't really like to start the filter until we really have their filter down, whether it's in a drawing or we've conceptualized it completely. And then once we get started, we find that there's very little rounds of revisions because they're so sure about what they want at that point. So it has helped a lot. And I learned that from error, from just starting out and having trying to just do things all by myself without having my team involved. And I didn't have a team at the time, so I tried to just do it myself. And I just didn't have any rules about rounds of revision. So there was one client where I had like 30 rounds or something. Like it was endless rounds. It was just back and forth, like slightly move this, or it doesn't fit on me as well, like move it this way. And it was very overwhelming. So I learned like you really need to get that concept down first, and then you have to have your guidelines in that contract, and then everything works really well.
I think that was such great advice, like starting early on by having spending the time on the concept before you're going into production is such a smart approach. I also think you mentioned something which is really helpful for maybe people who are taking their business to the next level, which is I'm no longer maybe thinking about me as an individual. I'm maybe thinking about hiring additional people on my team for the first time. What are the types of skills I might want to hire for? It's like thinking about the complementary skills to yourselves. I think one of the key areas that I wanted all of you to talk about too is the future. How are you thinking, or what are you thinking about the technologies or the trends or the use cases that you think are going to be really important over the next few years that you're sort of keeping your eye on and investing in, exploring?
I think what's really trending today is to just the social part of it, not using technology as a way to isolate, and it's more like sharing together, and everything is about just meeting other people, like making the reality richer. So that's kind of like the current topic and where it's going immediately. And then I'm just like really eager to see where the technology goes and what new opportunities opens for us.
Yeah, definitely me too. I think, especially with the spectacles, I think there's so much potential for what that could mean for a day-to-day utility in AR. And beyond that, with a more specific example, recently Lens Studio has released the Lens Cloud. And specifically, there is something called Remote Assets, which allows us to have a ton more space in our lenses, up to 25 megabytes in a lens, whereas before, it was, well, at the very start, it was 4 megabytes, and then they doubled that to 8 megabytes. But now we have so much opportunity to bring in things, and I think this is gonna have so many potential use cases for industries that couldn't get into this before, just specifically because they didn't have the room for it. For maybe a lot more try-on experiences, we can have a lot of complex 3D try-ons in one single experience, or you could make an entire game with a whole slew of assets that are inside of it without having to be limited on making sure all of our textures and our models are compressed too much. So I think with the addition of the Lens Cloud and the remote assets, there is going to be an explosion in the potential for the different industries that can jump into this.
Like for us, we really hunt any project that has like AI involved, where AR is becoming more powerful or smarter because of the influence of AR and live data, because we think that that's just going to elevate it to the next level. And then another area that we pursue are things where location is part of the context. So, landmark type of AR, or if it's like VPS systems, citywide kind of AR, we think that that's just going to be a big part of the future where AR content is everywhere. So the sooner you start working with those kind of tools and how to kind of implement that in a way that works with consumers.
I know what I want to see in the future, which is I want to be able to put on glasses and have my imagination run wild with games inside my house, or to transform my house into a totally different environment, to be able to put yourself in a rainforest inside your kitchen, or to make your living room look like a lodge in the mountains somewhere. These are the kind of things I'm looking forward to. And so I'm thinking about those kind of capabilities now. I also still enjoy like character effects. I imagine in the future, I'll love to create things with machine learning, or to be able to use a prompt to generate a filter in a moment, something like that. To be able to say, I want to see like pandas walking on the moon, and I want them to be all rainbow colors and stuff. And then all of a sudden I have a filter like that. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm looking forward to in the future.
I mean, I want to go to Paige's house, but I think that's great. I mean, honestly, basically what you've all talked about a bit of a different but very similar perspective, which is new technologies, right? So things like, what does it mean when you can have cloud services to help expand the capabilities of what you can do? Things like new hardware that changes the context of the user and the experience of the user. I'm no longer looking at this experience through a tiny mobile phone in the palm of my hand. We like to call this condition arm tired. Your arm gets tired. There's physical limits to what you can do. That limits the use cases of AR. And all of these things in combination is really just opening up new opportunities for the role it'll play in people's day-to-day lives. Like, what do you as a consumer want to see? And then it translates to business demand. And so how do you then future-proof your business is, let's learn the new technologies, let's experiment with the new hardware, let's learn and really ready for the next few years to future-proof your business. I think I'd love to just end on one quick fire round with just one piece of advice that you would give to an emerging developer who's really trying to make a big career in AR. Either they're kind of starting off as an individual person who's, a creator by themselves, or they're starting their own company and taking that next big bet.
I would say that, compared to when we started, when we had to walk around with like posters and stuff and convince people and educate people what AR is, I feel that at this point, that world, that spatial digital world, it is a certainty. So getting in now is super important, and you have that confidence that whatever you build now is gonna pay off down the line. That technology is well on its way to becoming completely ubiquitous. So it's actually not that big a bet, The industry's still kind of dipping their toes in the water a little bit, but it's not dipping your toes into a pool, it's dipping your toes into the ocean. That's how much greenfield we have to play, so.
Love it. Paige?
And I feel that no matter where you are in your experience level as an artist, that you could try making effects at any point. So even if you've never picked up a tablet before to draw anything, or you might not know how to draw, you've never created 3D models before, there's a place for you to learn and start. And I just feel like, don't ever feel like there's a barrier to get started. Just do it.
Portfolio. You need a portfolio, so get to work in the best portfolio. If you have weird ideas, do your weird ideas. If you don't have no idea, copy something. We're hiring, everybody's hiring. We need people. There is so much room for creators, for developers. So it's all you need is the portfolio, and you don't need a crazy, unique, different idea. But if you have it, great. Just get the portfolio done and you're good to go.
And Ben?
So I know this has been said already multiple times, but if you are interested in AR and you're wondering if it's too late to get into it, it is not too late. We are still at the ground floor of technology and augmented reality, and there's no way to go but up right now. There is limitless potential on where this could go. We don't even know where this is going to go 5-10 years from now, but all we know is that it's going to keep moving forward. So now is the best time to get into it.
You can be confident because this industry is only getting started. You should do work and be authentic to the work you do and build a portfolio, which is very, very important. Thank you guys so much. This was so great. I feel like I'm ready to start my own company. Thank you again.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.